What up? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about flesh-eating bacterial infection. Christy.
It's crazy, Nino.
Sis, I do not, I'm going to let y'all know, ladies and gentlemen, I do not eat. I always tell my wife, sis, she loves fish. My son and my wife, they can eat anything. Me and my kids, we eat burritos. You know, we're very picky, and I can't eat seafood. And I always tell my wife, and I always say it, I wish I was like the Lord Jesus, eating fish. I believe back in that time they used to eat a lot of fish, and I like catfish, but for some reason I don't know, I'm not a seafood guy. Christy, this story's pretty interesting. Give us some quick info. Go ahead, let us know in the chat, y'all, if y'all eat seafood or not. Go ahead, Christy.
So what brought this to my attention is because of how much I've been hearing about it, through different media sources, through, my sister being in the medical field and things like that. But every year there is some kind of report of this flesh-eating bacteria, and usually the way that people would get this, Nino, is from swimming in lakes, oceans, any kind of water.
Christy,
that was. Go ahead.
Man, I'm horrible at cutting you off. But hey, sis, it kind of reminds me of this lady. I'm gonna segue. Who cares, right? It's my show. We can do what we want. But it reminds me of this lady, right? We went to the bank to get, I think I had to go get a new debit card or something with the bank, and the lady had a little picture of her dog, like a sketch. And we start talking to her, and this is a crazy story. This is Nino News Network.
Cracking nuts.
Yeah, cracking nuts. The cracker and the coconut.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I love to talk, y'all. You already know that, right? And regardless of what they say about me, I'm a very friendly guy, and I can speak to all kinds of people, all walks of life, except for the you-know-who's. Anyways, so I'm talking to this.
The you-know-who's.
And the you-know-who's. There's two of them. Anyways, I'm just playing, y'all. Oh, now, but there's this lady at the desk, and she has a picture of her dog, and I ain't gonna lie, she was being kind of just dry. And I asked her about her dog. You know how it is, sis, people with their animals. She just lights up, starts just talking about her dog, because she has a picture of her dog, like a hand-drawn picture. One of her coworkers at the bank drew it for her. Come to find out, her dog died. She went out of town, let one of her friends dog sit it for her. They went to a lake up the road, sis. And this dog, they came back on a Sunday, and the dog died. And the dog ended up ingesting some kind of bacteria. So if anybody in the comments, let us know if you have a similar story. But long story short, Nino Midas over here, the lady lost her dog going out of town, and the person that took care of it, the dog somehow got into some kind of water at the lake or something, or still water. Something happened that the dog ingested water and got some kind of bacterial infection. I'm just bringing up that story because it's talking. Is it kind of similar, sis, or is it a long stretch?
You're right, because like a bunch of these bacterias that are in standing water, not even just standing water, because the ocean, there's been many people that have got, if you can go back and research story after story after story. There was a 12-year-old little boy a couple of years ago that came down here to the exact city that I live in and was on vacation and died while on vacation. It attacks your system so fast that he died from this flesh-eating bacteria. But usually it's because you have an open wound or a sore, or even if you accidentally shave and nick yourself. So it doesn't have to be like a
like a staph infection.
It's considered part. Actually, it's usually with like a strep A type of virus.
Okay.
But it moves so fast that it literally eats your flesh away, goes all the way through muscle, and
I bet it's pretty bad looking, huh, sis? I think you've seen something like that, right? It's pretty bad.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I know somebody personally that went through it, and it was and if it's in an area, a lot of times, like, they have to amputate. But if it's an area that they can't amputate, if they don't get the right antibacterial or the right antibiotics in you, then like you're usually within 24 to 48 hours, you're gone. But what flipped me out about the story that we're telling right now, Nino, is that a man got this in Texas and died from eating raw oysters.
What town was this? Damn.
This was reported today. and I don't know what town it was in.
In his 30s,
But
sis. That's younger than me. Like, that's probably a young man.
yep, and
Say the name?
so the name
Galveston.
of
Hold
this,
on. I'm sorry. Galveston County. That's South Texas. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and that's not too far from Houston. I've been to Galveston a couple times,
Oh,
but
awesome.
it's called Vibrio vulnificus, which I kind of was
Wow.
making a joke earlier about Snuffleupagus because of the name of it, but it is such a dangerous thing.
I'm looking at it right here.
And
Sis, on the pics, it shows eating raw seafood, routes of infection, exposure and open wound, uh, symptoms, diarrhea lasting many days, nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps, fever and chills, blood infection, and then you get like some weird blisters.
cellulitis.
You get
Yeah.
blisters on your foot. But go ahead, sis. This is
And it
crazy.
goes all, like I said, what it does is it destroys all of the tissue. So it like dies. It goes completely black, almost like gangrenous.
Oh,
And then it can get reach all the way down through the muscle. It can even reach from the muscle down into the bone.
Christy, I'm
And
looking at
that's
a
when
picture. Oh, Floridians warn flesh-eating bacteria lurking in flood waters. We'll have to do a story about that one in a minute, sis.
well, and I was gonna say, like I can tell a story of a patriot that right after the hurricane, and God bless Tammy, she sent me a Brita water filter pitcher because we were warned that in our drinking water was the flesh-eating bacteria
Oh my goodness.
after because everything was so infected after the hurricane, and we had so much flood water and stuff like that. She sent me a filter pitcher so that we could filter all of our water because getting bottled water and all of that was just almost next to impossible. But yeah, I mean it's serious, and like if you do not act on it extremely quickly, then yeah, I mean
There
it can be
ain't
within
much hope.
24 to 48 hours. Yeah.
Christy, I'm gonna
Yep.
go. And while we talk about that, I'm going to this article. I'm gonna open it up right now. It talks about Floridians. I hate these dang ads over here, dude. That's nice. Floridians. Uh, this is nice.
Is it where it says
I
Floridians are
hate
being
these ads. Hold on. It
urged?
says Floridians warned about.
The
Anyways,
post
about
hurricane.
boiling water. I'm trying to. Oh, here it is, right here. The infection can cause symptoms like those shown above. I got a picture of some hands all blistered up, sis.
And what it does is it just eats through that. It
But
doesn't
is
stay
this the
like
same thing
that.
as the guy in Galveston or not?
Yeah, I mean, flesh-eating bacteria is the same thing. So,
Oh, it does show the infection cause. Oh, okay.
yep,
Wow.
and
Okay, go ahead, sis. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. It just says Floridians are being urged to steer clear of post floodwaters because they could contain flesh-eating bacteria. And like if you and I'm telling people to do this at their own free will, you can go and Google searches of flesh-eating bacteria, and they are gruesome and awful pictures. Like you
Wow.
have a strong stomach and be prepared for it, but they multiply so fast and yeah, that it'll hurt you and kill you quick.
And Christy, it says right here that once confined to the Gulf of Mexico, the bacteria build a water wall, right? The bacteria has now seeped into new areas because of rising sea temperatures, and scientists fear Vibrio could reach every coastal U.S. state by 2040. If that's not enough, we already got to deal with. But this is crazy. A
You
bacterial
know,
infection, this is like wild, but man,
you know
Lord help
what
us.
I was gonna say is that I don't know if it actually broke the record or not, but about 2 weeks ago, so I live on the Gulf. I live on the Gulf side of Florida. Um, they said that the water temperature was 106 degrees, the same temperature as a hot tub, which we all know hot tubs breed massive bacteria,
Oh, damn,
and
do
that
they?
they, yeah, they did. And that it was expected to rise even more, which would set like world records on temperature for ocean waters.
And it's interesting because I have a report in August, the case and the deaths going up in Florida, rates of the V vulnificus, and looks like it's impacting Florida. Sis, your final thoughts on this is pretty crazy. Let us know in the chat, y'all, what y'all think. This is pretty interesting and pretty crazy to be honest.
It just, I don't definitely don't want to fear monger, but it just makes you think about so many things. I remember that I knew one day in my life I would live in Florida. This is where my family, we vacationed here at least once a year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. And I remember like jumping in the ocean, not a thought in the world.
Right.
Now I dip my toe in. I'm like, okay, did I cut my toenails recently? Did I shave recently? Do
Wow.
I can have a nick?
Well,
Just all kinds of things.
my wife's always scared of sharks, even in a regular lake in Texas. Like and there's been sightings of sharks and alligators in certain places where
There
they
have.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's
my
been.
wife always thinks that there can be a shark somewhere. And that's just it's the movies or whatnot. But it's crazy. I want to read real quick. The bacteria pose a risk to millions of Americans year round. However, because they prefer warm, brackish water along coastlines where people tend to swim. Once confined to the Gulf of Mexico, warming waters have allowed it to seep into new areas and even further north. This year has
Hmm.
already been reported as far as Florida, New York, and Connecticut. 13 deaths have already been recorded, including 6 on the East Coast, 3 of which were in North Carolina. It says most people with weaker immune systems are more susceptible to this, like diabetes and cancer patients are at higher risk from the disease. Guys, protect yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty wild, interesting to say the least. And wow, sis, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like you said, protect yourself. I mean, we know that things are changing and we don't know why they're changing or how they're changing, but they're changing, and just be careful of what you consume and where you put yourself, because you might put yourself at risk.
And to be honest, I mean, a paper cut. Imagine, I hate getting a paper cut, but imagine, I got a scratch right here. I scratched myself at work today. But imagine getting a bacterial infection where it turns black. I mean, man, God forbid. Anyways, sis, thanks for bringing this up. Thanks for watching, y'all. Let us know in the comments what you think. You're an American. You're a patriot. You got grit. Act like it. We're out.